Web Novel, Chapter 378, The Village Part 4. Set the temporary warp gate. We need to talk. Her voice was seething with anger. Lith took out from the ranger amulet the metal frame and assembled the portal. Once it was powered by his mana and several mana crystals, it took just a few minutes for her to arrive along with a few army mages. The prisoners needed immediate help. The gate needed much more power to allow the transportation of so many people to Belius where they would receive proper care. After a quick sweep of the place under Lith's guidance, the army personnel was shocked. Rangers were an elite unit. However, it was hard to believe, even after seeing it with their own eyes, that so many criminals had been eliminated without a single casualty. Are you insane? Lieutenant Camilla Yehaval, Lith's handler, was on the verge of a massive headache. She was a woman in her late 20s with long black hair held up in a ponytail. She had almond-shaped eyes which made her quite cute to Lith. You were supposed to make your report as soon as you assessed how dangerous the situation was. Your brash actions put yourself and the civilians into danger. Why didn't you ask for backup? Maybe it was because of Floria, but Lith had a thing for authoritative women. Now that he could see in person, she wasn't only a sweet voice, but also quite attractive. Because the first hostel I engaged revealed the organization had a deal with my predecessor. They knew a new ranger was about to arrive. I managed to take them by surprise because I reached this place sooner than they predicted. I thought that, if I called for backup, their associate could alert them and give them the time to dispose of the hostages and flee. Lith lied through his teeth. He had made up the story while waiting for her. His real motive was to not have witnesses. The slaves had no notion of magic, while the marauders could claim he was the reincarnation of Arthur the Mad King and no one would have believed them. Lith predicted that based on the royal constable who would handle the case, the three prisoners had from a few days to a week left to live. The kingdom's justice was as swift as brutal in such circumstances. You have a point. Still, you should have contacted me. Had you failed, the army would have lost a ranger and those people their lives. Camilla said with a sigh. How did you manage to kill so many on your own? I pick my allies among those who cannot betray me. Lith executed a short chant that raised an undead. A divide and conquer strategy. Very smart of you using their numbers against them. Maybe he is not one of those idiots with the hero complex. She thought while smiling in approval. This level of mastery in necromancy isn't listed in your file. We'll have to update it later. I hope we can discuss it over dinner. I don't know any good place in Belius, so I'd be in your care. Lith replied with what he hoped was his best charming smile. Are you hitting on me? Camilla giggled. Well, yes, we have the same rank and your voice will be my only contact with the civilized world for the next months. I think we should know each other better. Also, I hope you wouldn't deny a lone ranger his only wish. Kid, do you have an idea how old I am? She was still giggling and had yet to say no. Lith took it as a good sign. 20, maybe? He squinted his eyes, like he was concentrating really hard on the answer. Lith's warp gate flashed for a second, allowing the royal constable to join them. It took her but a second to read the mood. Flirting on the scene of a massacre is a bit cliché, but it usually works to break the ice. At least for me. Lieutenant Yehaval stopped twirling her hair and stood at attention. Constable Ernest, it's an unexpected pleasure to meet you so far away from home. Lith said, giving her a salute. At ease, lieutenants. I'm a fan of your work, Lith. So when I heard you were involved, I asked the case to be assigned to me. Take me to the prisoners, we have much to discuss. Lith accompanied Journey to the cellar where the red-haired bandit was detained. Her arms were still shattered, making it pointless to cuff her. Her feet were chained to a wall, giving her barely enough space to stretch her legs. Constable Journey Ernest, are you ready to talk? She asked with a flat tone. I'll tell you everything, but I want a deal. I don't care what you do with the others, as long I walk away free and with working arms. Her face was strained from the pain, yet she looked at the constable with defiance. If I talk, I'm a dead woman. There's nothing this wench can do to me that the ranger hasn't already done. The marauder thought. Deal or no deal, you will talk. Journey replied with a cruel grin. She struck the prisoner with her extended fingers in the space between the neck and the collarbone. The criminal coughed a few times before attempting to curse at her warden. No words came out of her mouth. You see, dear, if you hit the nerve cluster located there, first the victim goes numb, then they experience an unspeakable agony. Lith took a mental note of Journey's words. He could see the prisoner turning paler. The pain had yet to kick in, but the fear was already there. Now, while we wait for the confession, do you mind telling me if there's something serious between you and that pretty officer? I just met her. Lith shrugged. Why do you ask? I know it's none of my business, but please, humor me. Is there a Lady Verhan waiting for you at Lucia? No, otherwise I wouldn't ask my handler for a date. Lith resented the allegation. He had never cheated on any of his past girlfriends. Perfect, Journey exclaimed with glee. You know that I always cheered for you. I still think you and Floria would make a perfect couple. She was so happy when Freya told her how worried you were about her happiness. Lith became red, while the prisoner tapped her foot. She was now eager to talk. Journey had more pressing matters at hand, so she ignored her. Let's be honest, dear. You are a magnet for troubles, just like I was at your age. First day on the job and you stumble into a nightmare. No matter how much we roam the world or how many people we kill, the void inside those like us never disappears. We are monsters, but it doesn't mean we have to remain alone. She took his hand into hers. The kingdom needs us to keep the real monsters at bay. You can find your place in the world if you stop being scared of hurting others and accept yourself for who you are. Think about this the next time you get a leave. Floria is single at the moment too. Journey winked. Lith left her to her job after promising Journey he would keep in touch. Before he left the village to resume his patrol, Camila gave him a new portable warp gate and her contact rune.